The British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is in Shanghai on the third and final day of his visit to China to strengthen economic ties. As Mr. Starmer arrived in Shanghai, President Trump told journalists that it would be dangerous for the UK to do more business with China. But the UK Trade Minister Chris Bryant said Mr. Trump was wrong to make such comments, especially given that Mr. Trump had called President Xi Jinping a friend and is going to China himself in April.
This is a historic trip because this is the first time in 8 years that a British Prime Minister has been here on Chinese soil. 8 long years, a historic occasion, and we can feel that already. We've had key bilaterals yesterday with President Xi and also Premier Li. Very warm, very good meetings. Just the level of engagement that we hoped for on behalf of both of our countries to develop that comprehensive and strategic partnership that is both long-term and consistent. And that is the approach that I set out over the last 18 months. And yesterday we warmly engaged and made some real progress, actually, because the UK has got a huge amount to offer, and I was able to set that out. And as a result of our engagement, we've halved the tariffs on whiskey and also got visa-free travel to China for Brits. So really important access, symbolic of what we're doing with the relationship.
Keir Starmer. Well, for more on those stories, I'm joined now on the line from London by the author and international affairs analyst, Dr. Laskiewicz. Good to see you, Dr. Laskiewicz. Let's start with Iran. The US continuing to weigh military options for strikes on Tehran, but the question of if and when an attack could happen remains uncertain, doesn't it?
Yes, the key problem isn't now military, as the USA is now ready. The key problem is what for, why? And this appears to be unclear. It's not in fact clear quite what President Trump hopes to achieve. Short of a conquest of Iran, just missiling Iran in the hope of putting off the nuclear program, any other things they're doing, is not actually going to get very far. And so therefore, it is not clear what's in his mind. His goal is totally unclear. He has said, of course, he hopes to help the protesters, but how?
I mean, would it be fair to say that President Trump's rhetoric is becoming more aggressive? Because, I mean, earlier this week, he warned Tehran that time was running out, saying that a massive armada was moving swiftly towards the country with great power, enthusiasm, and purpose.
Well, it's certainly true he's ever more aggressive in his rhetoric, but the problem is he's never quite set out quite what he wants to achieve. If it's regime change, then it's unclear how he intends to go about this. Regime change is usually done by means of occupation, and that's not clear how he intends to do that. What he has is a strike force, sure, but again, it's hard to see how that's going to help. So their enthusiasm and determination is unquestionable. However, the purpose is questionable, and therefore it remains to be seen quite what his plan is.
And I mean, for its part, Iran appears to be stepping up its regional diplomacy with its Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi in Turkey today for talks focusing on averting the threat of a US attack. I mean, he's been urging countries in the region to confront what he called a threat to regional peace. I mean, Turkey, for its part, says is seeking to mediate between Tehran and Washington. Is this last-ditch diplomacy? If so, what kind of leverage does Turkey have?
Turkey has one interesting leverage. It really has become a mediator in all sorts of disputes, or at least the proposed mediator. And therefore, unquestionably, if Iran wishes to speak to USA, Turkey is an excellent choice. And this is what I think they have in mind. For its part, Turkey is quite willing to be mediator. It enhances its role in the Middle East, and therefore both sides seek to gain. The most interesting aspect is, of course, quite what Turkey can hope to achieve with these talks, because if Trump's goal is regime change, then quite what Turkey can do about this is hard to see. The other interesting aspect is, of course, Iran has, as you said, also now wants to show that the Arab world and the Muslim world and all these worlds should now be combined and resist America. And of course, this is unlikely because they're not all one world apart from religion. Even religion isn't quite the same in all these parts. And so therefore, what remains is a possible US strike without much of a clear target or a goal as to how to go about implementing what I think Trump wants, which is namely regime change, with the eventual goal of neutralizing Iran as an enemy of Israel.
And just a quick word, Dr. Laskiewicz, before we let you go, a quick word from you on the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer's visit to China, which ends today. It's aimed at strengthening economic ties, but President Trump told journalists that it would be dangerous for the UK to do more business with China. But the UK Trade Minister, Chris Bryant, said Mr. Trump was wrong to make such comments, especially given that he's called President Xi Jinping a friend and is going to China himself in April. What's your assessment of the reaction from the White House and the counter-reaction from Downing Street?
I think this shows that Keir Starmer set out with limited goals for his China trip and has achieved them. He has managed to make the trip to China. He has managed to have some sort of minor concessions, symbolic ones, and without actually enraging Trump too much. So Trump made that comment, but it was not the same thing as threatening Canada with tariffs. And therefore, Keir Starmer has yet again succeeded in walking a tightrope between America's wrath and Britain's interests. However, it has to be pointed out that he's not still free of the other charge, that by so meeting China, he has in fact stepped away from the Uyghurs and their oppression by the Chinese. And this may be, in fact, one of the more damaging aspects of the trip. In a sense, it shows that the Uyghurs have no support here in Great Britain.
Dr. Laskiewicz, thank you ever so much. Dr. Marek Laskiewicz is the author and international affairs analyst talking to me on the line there from London.